Welcome to How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts, Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Dobrý den, this is Chuck Campbell with
Wayne Bledsoe, and
this is John Baker.
Hello, guys. That is Slovak for a listener I saw on our chart from Slovakia. It was
Hello, Slovakia.
Hello, Slovakia.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. Anyway,
Still blows my mind
what's that?
that countries all over the world are
It's
tuning
weird.
in to three East Tennessee guys talking about music.
Yeah. I started to change it up because today it was Ghana, and I thought I don't. But I saw because they have the world map, and then they'll black out the country, and there was Africa with just this little dot on it. Well, smaller than most of their countries, and I looked over and it was Ghana. So there you go.
cool.
And a few days before that, it was Slovakia. So there you go. Hello, world. Today, we are going to do songs with great hooks.
Great.
And we had different ways that we could define a hook. I think that not necessarily the consensus, but in general, a hook, the most obvious hook would be the part of a song where you get the chorus, and the chorus is upbeat or up-tempo or has an energy burst, and often, not always, but often it will have a title or part of the title in it. But a hook can also mean other things. It can be an instrumental passage.
Right.
It can be a bridge instead of the chorus, or even, I guess, a verse could be a hook or something like that.
Yeah.
So there are other ways of hook. And the hook is like the primal part of a song. So when you're reacting to a song, a lot of times you're reacting to the beat, or you're reacting to the lyrics or whatever, and you can intellectualize that. But the hook is something, I think, that just grabs you or doesn't grab you. It doesn't necessarily even have to have good lyrics. It's just something that gets embedded in your head. Yeah. And when you've got a song going through your head, what's going through your head is usually the hook. So
Yeah, and some songs, the whole song it's nothing but hooks hardly.
Yeah. Some songs. Yeah, they'll just bounce for the bridge is a hook, and the instrument, the guitar solo is a hook, and the verse is a hook. And
Well, the first one I thought of, and we've talked about this, was "Sweet Home Alabama," which by Leonard Skinner. But the opening guitar riff, that's a hook.
Yep.
And then the chorus is a hook.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything in it is
it's one with the ooh in it too,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
almost like So it's got that. Yeah.
Yeah. So all those things, and it's like love it or hate it, and I actually like pretty much everything by Leonard Skinner, but it's like you can't get away from it. It's going to get in your head, and you're going to be humming.
It's a very long song.
No, that's Freebird.
I don't get the full length of it. I'm pretty much out quickly when that.
Yeah,
guitar.
you're right. That is Freebird. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that was John's referencing the Drive By Truckers album.
Southern rock opera.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which opens with like a car wreck, teenage car wreck, and when they finally got her body out of the car.
When the paramedics arrived, they could still hear Freebird coming out of the stereo.
Oh,
it's a very long
song. I get it.
It's just the high school myth that gets
that reference.
It's like an urban myth that gets handed down.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna go. I want to knock out Taylor Swift first. Taylor Swift. But we talked.
What do you have
about
against her?
I had nothing against
He
her.
loves
I think
Taylor
she's
Swift.
awesome.
You said you wanted to knock her out.
No.
Mama said.
Maybe I did, but I'm tired. But I think we talk often about Taylor Swift, and to put that in perspective, I think it's something we all agree that she's definitely statistically like the biggest artist we've had this whole century.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it will stay that way. I don't know. She's been at it like 20 years, and she's still number one. And so she's still huge and still setting records, and she's got more Grammys and more, number ones and bigger fan base and more streams and most sales. I think it's safe to assume that, in the long range, she may even be in the top 10 artists of all time at this point. Even though when we're talking about top artists, we're usually talking about John Lennon, or Elvis or whatever. But she has made such a lasting impact. We don't know at the end result, how influential it will be, but she's certainly way ahead of everybody else right now. So,
yeah, and I think that we're talking about hooks. She's one of the people who can create a hook, and you can't get away from it.
Yeah, I was just thinking that her number one, The Fate of Ophelia, that was her biggest number one. And it was just number one late 2025 and into 2026. and it was her biggest. So she's still hitting even peaks for her own measures. And that one has an amazing hook, and it was a viral dance, and everybody in the world did it all over social media. And I think the first big hook that I remember and that was a breakout for her was Shake It Off, which was 2014. And that's kind of the one that got her around the whole world. And it became part of culture where everyone say, well, haters going to hate and players going to play and all that. And she didn't invent that term, but she certainly cashed in.
Popularized it.
Yeah, she popularized it. So I just wanted to get her out of the way because it was inevitable that we would talk with her and say yes, or talk about her in such a thing because she is such a good artist when it comes to hooks.
And she's one of the only ones that's out there right now that is consistently creating songs with great hooks.
Yeah.
I mean,
you'll see the others, and I've got some of them too, more recent ones, that they'll pop out with a hook. Like I was going to mention Doja Cat in 2019. She had Say So, which was like this just sing-songy, kind of surreal, ethereal sex song, but it's real sweet. The chorus is.
Right.
When she raps, that's a whole other story. It becomes a different song, really. But and that kind of was a prototype for her. That was her biggest hit. That was her first number one. And then there are other, Lana Del Rey followed suit with a similar kind of shift in her tone for the song Tulsa Jesus Freak in 2021, and of course your friend Sabrina Carpenter, Espresso 2024. It was that same model to have a woman just employ a very kind of sexy, flirty type vocal, and that seems to be something that was Sabrina Carpenter's biggest hit too to date when she did it. So, ladies, if you're listening and you want a big hit, that may be something you want to try.
Yeah, well, we're doing this by decades to some extent, but all these people have listened to like the great songs from the 60s and the 70s and some of them from the 50s.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's part of it is they're listening to that stuff, and the people in the 60s and the 70s were listening, a lot of them listening to stuff from the 50s and even before because
they were listening to the 30s.
Well, some of them. Sure. I mean, because the Beatles, they grew up, listening to classic pop songs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean...
And also early rock and roll.
Yeah, but early rock and roll is what, really, ignited them. Yeah. But they knew how to write songs because of, the Cole Porter and, great Hoagie Carmichael, songwriters like that. And they all knew hooks.
Well, I'm not going to get stuck in the current now and the ones I talk about often, but that does remind me the Olivia Rodrigo song, Get Him Back from 2023. She's definitely listened to every artist from the 60s and 70s. And that song has this real anthemic rock chorus, and it's almost like you could hear it as like a stadium rock, which that's not what her prototype is. She's like 20, young woman from California, but she just taps into it, and it does have that feel of songs from back in the 70s or whatever, when they would just break and a song would go all a cappella and become just a big sing-along in stadiums. So,
well, your review convinced me to get the Live at Glastonbury album, and it's great, and it's full of hooks. I mean, it's classic kinds of songs.
It makes an old man's heart like mine feel good to know that someone
the kids are
so
all right.
young, is so well spoken. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure she could blow my doors off with talking about 60s and 70s.
Well, it's interesting because we just had the last night of Waynestock last night, and there was a young band called Analog Kid, and there was a band before that called Civil Strife, and it's like they're the same way.
Yeah,
they've been listening to this stuff, and it just flows out of them.
Yeah.
Well, and that band that played Friday night last week, Solstice. The Solstice band?
Yeah, Solstice and Connor Kelly both played those nights.
But I remember listening to that Solstice band and thinking, these kids, their parents are my age, and these kids have been digging through their parents' record collection.
Probably, yeah. And you know what? It's not just an artistic smart thing to do. It's a business. It's a smart business decision to see what's worked in the past and find out to make it work now. And it's like you get your art to more people if you do have popular songs. You can't be so anti-success, that you don't look at. So if you want to really reach the most people, you throw a good hook in now and then. No one's going to blame you for that. All the great ones did.
Yeah.
So.
But that's, I mean, going to shows that are done by young rock bands, which, you know, for a while seemed to be no young rock bands.
Right.
It's really inspiring to see, and you know, all these kids getting into it. You know, they're listening to the lyrics,
Yep.
and they're getting that emotional connection that we got when we were that age.
Right.
So anyway,
Well, how do we want to move on? Do we want to go by? I'm organized by generations, and looks like you got something kind of like that.
well, I went. Where
do you want to go next?
We ought to have full
Wayne?
disclosure.
We're all tired here.
We did this yesterday, and then we had a blip that erased the whole thing. So.
I don't know what you're talking about. Make sure you edit this out, Don.
But so we actually
it was
a power
electric company
power.
gods.
killed us.
Power went out and erased the entire podcast.
Yes. And it wasn't. Yeah, it was just, and it was a quick blip. I don't know. They were doing something down the road and
It
just
turned
one of
off
those
and turned
things.
right back
Yeah.
on, but it was enough to erase everything we had just recorded.
But you know, I
We
was
weren't going
totally.
to talk about this, Wayne.
I think people need to know. I mean,
If we sound tired and weird and
yeah, and
okay.
my voice is nearly gone because of being at the show all that night,
Right.
last night. But yeah, I mean, we found out that you had this sort of organized by generation and decade.
Yeah.
And I was totally random, which
Yeah.
sounds like a normal thing.
Right.
So as we sat down, I went ahead and categorized mine by decades.
Okay.
So that
A
we
little
could,
organization helps.
Yeah,
when
'cause
you're tired, especially.
yeah, we had to keep going back and forth because you kept moving forward, and I was like, wait a minute.
Well, I finally went back to disco with you. Like, all right, well, I'll just start in the back and make my way up. So I was like, started up with the 2020s, and then went back to the 70s. I didn't do too much 70s.
Right.
It's something I've learned in what we're doing here is like you two are both so much better spoken about the 50s and 60s than I am. You know, I mean, I wasn't really paying much attention until the 80s to music, to tell you the truth. I mean, late 70s I was getting into it, I guess. And it's always kind of there are older songs that I know and like very much, but I don't know what was going on or what album it was on or how many producers they had. I don't know any of that. Yeah. So I'm not going to try so hard anymore because you all got that covered. It's like, I'll just try to keep up with, all right, here's what's going on the last couple of decades, which is more my forte. But I know the 80s well, and I know the 90s well, so...
Well, I'm only going to mention one thing from the 50s.
Okay.
Because I think it is probably the quintessential, this is a hook for a rock song.
Okay.
And that's Not Fade Away by Buddy Holly.
Okay.
Which has been covered limitless times. And it's...
Got that Bo Diddley beat.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
It's like, and it's like when it comes on, I think I may have told this story before. I was with Mick Harrison and the High Score on tour, and we played this place that was like a double shotgun bar. One side was the music, one side was the bar, and they had a wall between half of it. And we were joking on the way up there that, well, you can always play Not Fade Away, and, people like it. And they literally played to no one on that side of the bar. And then they played Not Fade Away because there was they were running out of things to play because there was no time for people clapping or anything. There was nobody there to clap to take up time. So they started playing Not Fade Away, and then two people wandered over.
Man.
Change the energy of the room.
Yeah, but I mean, Mick writes great hooks, but they just, because they heard that, they were familiar with it, they came over.
I did have one instrumental hook. I didn't do many of those. I was mainly just like superficial than I am. I was just looking for that chorus jump or at least a bridge jump. But the Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, his famous takedown on Drake, it has this part when there's emphasis in it, because he's rapping all the way through it, and then there is like a little chorus of Not Like Us, and the crowd kind of gets into it. But that's not nearly the hook. That just the beat, and it's just dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, and whenever that peps up, it's like a weird hook, but it is a hook because it does turn your head when that part of the song comes on, and it's where he's got more emphasis. So it doesn't have to be the words, and even I'm aware of that somewhat. But anyway, that was a 2024 song. So take us. Do we want to go to disco now? Or
No.
we
We got a long way to go.
Let's start with the 60s.
We're going to work our way back. Oh, we're going to work our way up.
Well, that's what we did yesterday.
Okay, well, I'll take a break while you guys talk.
Well, no, you can talk.
I got
you
nothing
know
to
this.
say about the 60s.
You do too.
You know a bunch of
Motown.
these.
Oh, yeah.
Motown.
Well, that's what I was saying is that when I was thinking about Motown and how great Motown songs were and how they were built on hooks.
Right.
And I thought, well, let me try Diana Ross. What's the best hook? And it's like everything was a great hook, you know?
And my favorite's Can't Hurry Love, but there's not a hit. There's like The Happening, you know?
Right.
Man,
The Happening, yeah.
Yeah, that's so many of those songs. And, you know, Love Child and all this other stuff.
Love Child, yeah.
You can't get away from it. I mean,
just the song just sweeps up. And, you know, Diana Ross had the right voice for that.
Barry Gordy just had an unerring ear for hooks.
Yeah. And, you know, all those
And he didn't want to stray from that either because Marvin Gaye had been just a regular hit maker for him, writing real romantic, you know, pop songs. And then in the 70s when he decided he wanted to do What's Going On, Barry Gordy was just like got all kinds of social commentary, and it's about people coming back from Vietnam, and it's about environment. It's an amazing album, but it's not a pop hit. No. And the deal was that Barry Gordy said, okay, you can record the song What's Going On, and if that's a hit, then I'll let you do the whole album. And that's why when you listen to it, you hear What's Going On, and then there's a break, and then the rest of the album is all interconnected because he recorded the rest of it all together.
Yeah, and it's one of the best albums ever made.
Oh, my God.
But that's the thing is like in the 60s, you had this mentality. The Beatles, you can't get away from nearly every song. It's hooky as all get out.
Sure.
And, you know, the Kinks, You Really Got Me. We talked about this. Everything by the Kinks and the Rolling Stones.
And Lola is like the best of the best for me.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you know, when you're when you're watching a concert by the Kinks, which I wish they could get back together and you could see one more, but everybody starts singing Lola.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun because it's like you can't get that song out of your head, and it's a great story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
You know, it's like
shocking for the time.
Yeah,
was that the 60s or
no?
70s?
That was 1970.
70. Okay.
And the funny thing is like in Knoxville, the radio stations that would have played Lola, they wouldn't.
Oh, so the ones that play that genre, they weren't playing Lola.
The one that they would
play.
So
they did listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, they did. Well,
no, this is too soon.
But the song that they played instead was Ape Man, which was another single off of it. But you know, and a good one. But
it was the 80s before I knew what Lola was about.
Really?
I knew the song, but I didn't pay attention to the lyrics. And I think it was actually in the newsroom in Florida. And someone said, you know what that song's about, don't you? I thought, oh, it's one of those, you know, urban legends. And it's like, no, it's spelled out in the lyrics exactly what it's about. So
I remember I was in a parking lot waiting for my mom at the grocery store and had the radio on. And it was like there was an album rock station at the time that played it. And it was like, oh, this is great.
I bet you didn't want Mom to come back to the car yet.
Well, I didn't care. Okay. She wouldn't have cared. Okay. We didn't have any problems with that.
Okay. You're ahead of the game.
But okay, so you got all the British Invasion people. Those are all great hooks. You know, Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Rolling Stones, Satisfaction. I mean,
yeah, those are monster hooks.
Yeah. I mean, long before I actually heard the complete Jumpin' Jack Flash, I just heard that little bit, you know, of the chorus, and it was like, or that dum dum ba da dum. You know, it's like you can't get away. It's great.
They were my generation too, right?
Well, that's the Who.
Oh, the Who. I know that. Okay,
we all know who.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Who were the same way. I mean, Can't Explain, and
so many pop hits.
My generation.
Is that the one with the stutter in it?
That's my generation.
Yeah. Why did they do that stutter?
Well, the stutter is all because we talked about this yesterday. I'm glad you wanted to bring it back up.
Come on now, let's play the game, Wade.
Okay, all right. But the stutter is because the kids back then were taking speed, and it caused them to be nervous and stutter. So that was sort of an homage to the kids out there who were on speed.
Who were tweaking.
Stuttering druggers out there. Tweaking, yes.
So that, I mean, at least that's the story that I think Pete Townsend told. I read that like 30 years ago or something. But yeah, that's why the stutter's there, because you wonder, why the hell are they doing this?
Right.
Because Roger Daltrey doesn't stutter.
No, and neither does Pete Townsend. But it was great.
Yeah.
They were very tuned in to their audience, the Who were. I feel like they were really into the mods and into that whole, dressing in suits and driving a little scooter and.
Well, back then, they consciously tried to make Frampton, like a sex star, and like other times, other bands maybe they weren't going for it so obviously. But
well, in the 60s, the thing with the Who, you had the mods and the rockers were the people that were like, still listening to Elvis Presley in the 50s.
Wearing leather jackets and slicking their hair back.
Yeah, and and the mods were the ones who like to get dressed up and play more modern rock and roll. More pop than rock.
Yeah.
And then you also have, I think, one of the hookiest songs of all time from about 1967, Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison.
Yep.
The opening guitar riff is a hook, and then that's one where the verses and the chorus are both hooks. Mm-hmm. But there's versions of that. You've got the early versions where the guitar lick was not quite finessed that are available, and the difference between it is amazing because it's still a good song, but until that guitar, they figure out how to do that guitar intro. It's not great, and then it turns into just magic.
Well, and anything that's got a sha la 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 la, you can just sing along. You don't even have to know the words. That's going to be a good hook. Usually.
Yeah, and the Byrds are another example. The Byrds did hooks like crazy, turn, 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 which is a biblical passage. It's from Ecclesiastes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where that comes from. It's a Pete Seeger song.
Okay.
And you wouldn't think about it having a hook when he did it, but when the Byrds did it, it's like, oh yeah. So, anyway,
you still got us back there.
I'm trying to
trapped.
We're coming to the 70s, and this way you'll.
I got a few. It was just a minor note on disco, but go ahead. So we're getting to the 70s.
Disco is the 70s, but "Sweet Caroline" by Neil Diamond.
Yeah,
everybody sings along to that song.
Everybody knows that one.
Yeah, and then "Surrender" by Cheap Trick.
Oh man, I love that song so much.
You know that one.
Mommy's all right, Daddy's all right.
They just seem a little weird.
No,
Surrender.
you talked about it yesterday, and I didn't know it then either.
Really?
I can't believe you don't know
I've been through a lot in the last day.
I heard that on the radio in a meeting. I had to order that album.
Mommy's all right, Daddy's all right.
They just seem a little weird.
Surrender.
Is it a
surrender?
Is it a slow song?
No, it's a rocker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet if I played it for you, you'd go, "Oh yeah, I know that song."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they played it. It's been on lots of different things.
Okay.
TV things.
But they're a hooky band.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean, when they weren't the hook, they did some Diane Warren type ballads too.
Ooh, the worst.
And it was like, why are you doing this?
Oh yeah,
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Papa got to eat.
Yeah, that's right. That's not weird.
But then you got like the Allman Brothers, even though they're known for these long jams. Whipping Post is a great hook.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of stuff that they did that hook. Steely Dan, Reeling in the Years. It's another case where the guitar at the beginning is a hook.
The chorus is a hook.
Yeah. And, they did that a lot. My Old School's the same way. T-Rex, Bang a Gong, Get It On.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, someone remade that. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that in the 80s, so that must not have been his.
Power Station remake.
Power
with,
Station, okay.
Robert Palmer doing the lead vocals.
Okay, yeah.
And, Jeepster, things like that. And then David Bowie.
Yep.
Yeah.
The same thing, just hooks all over. Rebel, Rebel.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday. I remember
Suffragette City.
Changes.
And Heroes. That was when, that
Golden
was what
Years.
I wrote down.
And Young Americans.
Fame.
Yeah.
Fame, yeah. And that was the whole, the hook of Fame was.
It's kind of the funky bass line.
Yeah.
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 Well, there's a lot of, it's like,
Dun, 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 dun.
the bass lines are hooks so much of the time.
Oh yeah. Well, I have in the past decade been playing. I'm a guitar player primarily, but I was called upon to play a lot of bass, and I've come to realize that a lot of the hooks in songs are in the bass line.
Yeah.
Well, Walk on the Wild Side
Yeah.
is like,
Velvet Underground.
yeah.
And it's playing bass chords,
Yeah.
which is kind of rare.
Yeah, but that's the hook in that song. It's the bass, and people have sampled it since, and it's
Oh yeah.
Can't get away from it. And then we talked about Walk This Way by Aerosmith, which was such a great hook that Run
DMC. they remade it with Run DMC in it.
And both Run DMC and Aerosmith were hesitant about it because they were like, I don't know, but Rick Rubin said this is a winner,
Right.
and it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brought rap into the mainstream. Mm-hmm. It brought hard rock into the mainstream, back into the mainstream.
Yeah, and it did the thing that I like best about music is people who were fans of one thing listened to something else and became fans of the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Of course, the video was great too.
Yeah. Oh, hey, thanks for bringing up the video. I usually talk about the videos because to me they were interconnected, the video and the song, for a lot of time, especially in the peak video times, and I couldn't hear the song without seeing the video. For example, the Cars, Shake It Up.
Well, now that you bring up the Cars.
Yeah.
I was going to say, for the Cars, probably either Just What I Needed or...
Best Friend's Girl?
Yeah, one of those. But it's just like they have such an iconic sound. It's like that muted, chunk, 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 chunky guitar, and then weird synthesizer line that goes over the top of it. And then gigantic choruses.
To them. They're not like really trying to endear themselves to you or anything, but they're in their own world, and it's interesting to hear them because
they're always really tried to be really modern, really sleek.
Yeah.
But
it just seemed like it was natural for them. It wasn't like they were trying too hard at all. You know,
No.
they just had a different sound that just seemed,
Well,
seamless.
and they were produced by Roy Thomas Baker, who also got famous for producing Queen.
Yeah.
And he's just multi-layered backing vocals, and the Cars had that in spades too. Their choruses are just like dense, lush vocal harmonies.
And then Rich Ocasek became a producer, and he had his own thing too, because he's the guy who produced the early Weezer albums.
Okay.
And Guided by Voices.
Yeah.
And he told Guided by Voices when they were in the studio that they couldn't drink while they were recording, and that was a major deal because Robert, he's notorious, just pounds beers.
All right, I'll say one last thing about the 70s.
And hooks. Okay. Go ahead.
One-hit wonders. That's why they were one-hit wonders. They had that one.
They had the hook.
They had that song that had a hook.
They found a hook.
It's like Venus by Shocking Blue.
Yeah.
Love Goes Where My Rosemary Goes.
Yeah.
It's like all that stuff. 98.6 by Keith is like, man, it's got a great hook on it.
And that's showing a little adventure because usually when you have a great hook, it's got a little something different to it. You can do a formula hook and it's just not even a hook. It's like there's no bait on the hook. It's like, why are you even doing it? But then when they Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes, it's got the weird loopy way he's like singing, the little guitar kind of driving it along. It just it's not. Doesn't sound like anything else. If you can get something that sounds good and not like anyone else, then that's your hook. That's the best hook you can have.
Well, and I think the one that's lasted is probably better than any of them. The one-hit wonders is "Dancing in the Moonlight" by King Harvest, and it's like that electronic keyboard at the beginning.
I don't remember it.
I don't remember.
I know the song.
I know the song.
I know the chorus.
It starts out with just that keyboard. And it keeps going all the way through it, but you just hear it isolated at the beginning, and then the song kicks in. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to it, it's that keyboard riff that keeps getting you coming back because it goes through the song. They keep playing it over, but it's beautiful. And, they didn't have... I had their album. That was pretty much the only great thing on that album.
Yeah, you'll get the... And we kind of... I think we decided we weren't really going to go with novelty songs because, that's a different ballgame.
We already did one-hit wonders.
And we did a one-hit wonders, and we've done novelty songs, and hooks are, although they often have to have some kind of hook, it's not really the same game they're playing, So it's like you don't want to be so novelty that, and we talked about, I don't want to talk about Gangnam Style because that's later on. I want to talk about disco.
Yeah.
So just real quick, that disco... Obviously, it was hook-oriented, and it was dance-oriented, and bass more than anything.
And it's an adaptation of funk music.
Right.
But the beat's more straightened out.
Yeah.
So white people can dance to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's the truth.
You can fake it through that, But and one thing I noticed, I was just looking at the year 1978 and thinking of choruses from these songs that I could remember, and there was a lot of hooting and hollering, as mentioned, where they were just doing whoop whoop, and Georgia da 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 or whatever, and the song "Get Off" by Foxy, and "Let's All Chant" by Michael Zager Band, and "Born to Be Alive" by Patrick Hernandez, which has the do 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 do. All of those were in 1978, and I thought it was interesting that they're just like it was almost we did a song a episode on gibberish, but I didn't remember seeing like one specific type of gibberish that was popular at one time. But I think that the words were not important to disco, and some of the best disco songs are some of the poorest lyrics you'll ever hear.
Well, Shake Your Booty by Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yeah, well, or even, Knock on Wood by Amy Stewart, or, it's just like, what was it? She goes, I don't want to, I don't want to ruin this good thing that we got, because if I did, I would surely miss it a lot, or something like that. It's just like, oh my God.
It's terrible.
You wouldn't get through junior high, poetry class.
Well, and yet Donna Summer just moaned her way through songs.
Yeah, again, and that's kind of a nonverbal,
Yeah.
But I think some of that Donna Summer stuff is amazing, and that's because of Giorgio Moroder.
Oh, sure. I mean,
he pioneered
the queen of disco.
Synthesizer putting. It was before MIDI or anything. He just got sequencers to talk to each other, and it's amazing.
And she just dovetailed in with moans and groans and sighs, And I also noticed in '78 that was also Village People with YMCA, spelling out YMCA. And as I said, that was like a predecessor to Chappell Roan's Hot to Go by 46 years. So, wow.
They both have their dances.
Yeah.
I learned the Hot to Go dance.
Yeah. Well, you need words that you can spell out, but also spell out with your body. So if you have letters like a G, she does have the G and go. I don't know how that worked. But the YMCA,
there it goes.
The A's a little hard.
G-O.
We need visual now. Oh, I wish we had that video.
But before we leave disco, I want to bring up Jive Talkin' by the Bee Gees.
Yeah,
well, the Bee Gees all over.
Yeah.
I don't really dig a whole lot of Bee Gees stuff, but I think the funky stuff there is really good.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'm not a big fan of that era of the Bee Gees either, but Staying Alive has got a hook that just cannot, it's undeniable.
And just for public health reasons, I got to admit that Staying Alive is the exact tempo that if you're doing CPR, Staying Alive is the tempo to do the heart compression.
And it has a gasp too.
Yeah.
That's up. There you go.
See?
You can go out on Spotify and Apple Music, and there are CPR playlists that are just songs that are in the beat that you need to be.
Well, and you need Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 was from the 80s, but a song with a hook that relates to everybody is going to be even bigger. And her song 9 to 5, working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Yeah, everybody can identify with that.
Everybody feels that way, and everybody, I mean, even now, some people will still, that'll be what they're thinking when they're like looking for 5 to come around, and so. But I wanted to finish off the disco with the mention of pop music by M,
right?
Because that was kind of a transition song from disco to new wave and what was to come in the '80s and MTV and all that, and it was partly because it was more like an automated vocal. It was the woman was like she was singing, but it's just pop music, and. In disco, there was so much passion, and and the song was very electronic, and it was still a kind of a disco hit, but it's kind of the end of disco and the beginning of new wave and all.
But that takes you right into new wave, and like the Human League, Don't You Want Me? It's man,
fantastic.
Every time it comes on, you want to hear the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's got so many pieces to it too.
Yeah.
It's got the riff in the beginning. And then both the man and the woman are singing, and then it dovetails into that punch up with the chorus.
Yeah.
And then it reverts back, and they're talking back and forth again, and sassing each other, and it's got there's a little spite and anger in it, and him being desperate and her being cold. So you get a whole story in just a 3.5 minute pop song.
Yeah, with the chorus being a hook and the verse being a hook, and instrumental parts being hooks.
Yeah. I mentioned. Well, I'm not going to keep doing that, but Blondie's Atomic. I've talked about Blondie a lot, and the main big hits. And Atomic wasn't a typical big hit, but it was kind of doing what M was doing, and it was a 1980s song. And they had disco hit. I mean, Heart of Glass was a disco song again, kind of disco winding down. But Atomic was guitar oriented. It was like a spaghetti western type arrangement, like with all this drama and everything. And just now and then, she would dovetail in, and she would just like go right into the rafters, singing just like "Your hair is beautiful, tonight, Atomic," and then she disappears again, and it's back to the Cowboys. And what I remember most about that is the remix single is one of the most. iconic to me pictures, and it's like a mushroom cloud, a big red mushroom cloud, and Debbie Harry looking beautiful as ever, like giving a cold look off to the side, standing in front of the cloud, and I don't know, it was sensual and
like she's the bomb.
Yeah, she's the bomb. Yes, and we ought to do most attractive singers sometime.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah,
we could do that when
Meatloaf.
we're really feeling like we can't think. What?
Meatloaf.
Poor
yes.
Meatloaf.
Well, there's a type for everybody.
That's true.
We're not body shaming here.
Yeah, there's some people Meatloaf would be.
Well, we got a friend that Meatloaf would like. That'd be one of his favorites.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's like the Pillsbury Doughboy was his fantasy.
Okay. What was his home life like?
I don't know about that, but
A lot of time in the kitchen.
he's got a song about chubby guys that he really likes. Now you get
I know
it.
you're talking.
I'm not sure, but okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay,
afterwards.
all right.
I don't want to give his secrets away.
No, let's not get derailed here. We're talking about. And MTV, of course, debuted in '81, and that kind of made a difference. People were trying to do shorter songs, and shorter songs needed quicker, punchier hooks.
And it became the music became singles oriented again.
Yeah, and that's when I was talking about the Cars Shake It Up. That was an '81 song, so that was one of the biggest videos for MTV.
And the thing. Well, and we've talked about this when we did the influence of MTV,
right?
But in Europe and in England, bands had been making promo videos for a long time, but it was unheard of in America. Yeah. So when MTV started, there was just this unquenchable thirst for videos, and the only ones they could get were British bands. Yeah. And so I learned of Elvis Costello and Split Enz and all these bands that were new wave bands that had videos long before I heard any American videos.
Yeah. And
that's probably YouTube brought that home to me, and I was just floored when I started watching YouTube videos and everything at how many European bands had videos for songs that I thought were way before video time. You know?
All from the 60s. They were doing them in the 60s. The Beatles were doing them for sure, and the Beach Boys did them here. But I think it was to be mostly aired in Europe.
Yeah, I think they had Tops of the Pops back then and stuff, and we had American Bandstand, but that was more about the people dancing,
right?
And
that was mostly lip sync too.
Yeah, when they had a guest, they would come out and lip sync.
Yeah.
And I think in Britain they would just cut away to a video and just play it.
Yeah.
And they were used to that, and we weren't.
Well, in that same era, and it's got a great video too. Is "Cruel to Be Kind" by Nick Lowe, and he's another guy who could just write hooks like crazy.
Oh my God!
But that video is his wedding to Carlene Carter. Yeah,
really.
Yeah, so you got, I think like Dave Edmunds was the best man or something, and of course you like Rockpile, which is the band that was,
those two guys, Dave Edmunds and
And
he wrote What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. That's got all kinds of hooks in
it.
it.
I mean, Elvis Costello writes some pretty good ones too, but that's Elvis Costello's recording is his hookiest song probably.
I could argue.
Well, we could argue on a lot of those, but that's one that, like, man, when it comes on, it's like...
Well, that's the thing that really got Elvis Costello to fame, at least in America.
Yeah.
The Go-Go's, who had done a lot of videos, but We Got the Beat may be their hookiest song, and they didn't really do a video for that. It was just a live video, and people were disappointed because it was like at the peak of MTV. They had done Our Lips Are Sealed, where they were like dancing in the fountain and all that. And then We Got the Beat comes on, and it's just them actually on stage. They did performance videos. I think that was like 82, so it's still before you realized you had to have a video for everything.
Yeah,
and
I
it did well, but it might have done even better with it.
And the next one was Vacation, and them doing
water
skiing. That was a great video.
Doing stunt water skiing. It was amazing how they had those skills.
I like the video for We Got the Beat just because it showed them, actually making music on stage, and they were a serious band.
I do wonder, because there was a lot of skepticism about, an all-girl band, sure. And then they did the Rolling Stone cover with their hair in towel, or they were wearing towels and all that stuff, and so they were like, no, damn it, we're a real freaking band, and the women playing the guitars and the drums and, and all that. So
they were serious, and that's the thing. They had been a punk band when they started.
Yeah.
And, they couldn't help it how cute they were.
right.
I mean, you talk about good-looking acts.
And they weren't even emphasizing that either. They weren't like,
No.
They were just cute, you know.
Well, the funny thing about that Rolling Stone cover, they're all in their underwear, but it's like it's not sexy underwear. It's just like cotton underwear.
Probably their underwear.
Yeah,
but
they were still really cute.
Yeah.
okay.
They were.
All right. Well, getting into that, you know, disco, MTV. Well, the MTV era, people became more blatant with sexuality, and you had Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Right.
Do You Want to Touch Me, which came after I Love Rock and Roll, which also a huge hook.
Both covers.
Yeah, but Do You Want to Touch Me was awesome, and they managed to merge the hook into visual elements. And there was a part where, you know, she's going, and it's call and response, and so is I Love Rock and Roll. But she's like, do you want to touch? And then the band and the crowd goes, yeah, do you want to touch? Yeah. And then she goes, touch me there. And then she's wearing a trench coat, and she throws the trench coat open, and Joan Jett's in a little bikini.
Leather bikini. She's wearing a leather coat,
I didn't know,
and she has a leather. I remember it very well.
Yeah. We both had great conversations with her. She was actually my first celebrity interview.
Yeah, she was just as nice as she could be. She was one of the people that when I was going to interview her, they were going to put me on one of those group things, and I told the publicist I don't do those because I don't want the same interview that everybody else has, and if people ask stupid questions, and I ask good questions.
Right, and they get to steal your good questions.
Exactly.
All the reporters get everybody's answers. So
right.
You could ask all the questions, and other people have your
Done
story.
the work.
Yeah.
Right. So they called me back after that and said, oh, we'll just give you a one-on-one. And they actually gave me a one-on-one with Kenny Laguna.
Yeah, I met him too.
With her, you know.
Oh, they're great together.
And their relationship is amazing.
Yeah.
They're like an
really
old
is.
married couple.
Yeah.
They argue with each other all the time and everything, but they just love each other.
And I felt like I was in their house after the show in Florida. They brought me into the tour bus. And Kenny Laguna was going around. He was tidying up and everything, and she and I were just hanging out talking. He asked me if I wanted a Coke or whatever, and he was coming and checking in on us and everything. It's sort of like these two know each other. They fit so well.
Yeah, but she made. That's what I was going to say about the covers. Is she made all those covers better, and they were nowhere near as hooky until she got a hold of them.
Right.
And I mean, she writes some of her own stuff too. But man, when she could take a good pop song and just do her own thing with it, it was undeniable.
Right. And you don't really want the original "Do You Want to Touch Me" anyway? Cause
no, that's Gary Glitter.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. And also, Sexuality '83, the year after "Do You Want to Touch Me," is Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Relax, and that video was so sexual, and it was like a gay bar. And so it was not just sexual, but it was gay sexual, and that was too much for America. So they had to do one with just like flashlights behind them or something. That was an American release. But you could still see, like on Night Flight or whatever, you would see the original version, and they're just all in a pile. And I mean, you know, just there's even like some quasi nudity. It's a really, really overweight guy, and he's like in the balcony or whatever. But just everything's going on in that one. And there's a cage and a guy. It was a lot of fun, and that was part of what MTV was doing, part of how you were changing hooks that would both be ear friendly and visual friendly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I can't the name of the next big video that they put out that was in the boxing ring. No, it wasn't Two Tribes. I don't think so. One in the boxing ring. I remember the video, but I can't remember the song. So I guess the song wasn't that hooky.
No. I remember Two Tribes, and that was like Two Tribes going to war.
Yeah.
But Relax. I mean, that was the...
Oh, yeah.
Frankie Say Relax. Remember the T-shirts?
Oh, yeah.
And Relax, Don't Do It.
And somehow from that same time period, which is another hooky song, is Take On Me by Aha.
Yeah. And again, tied to a great visual.
Great video.
Yeah.
But even without the video, that song just had that, you know, he's like an angel.
How about Howard Jones, Are We Ourselves? Remember that one?
Yeah.
That was
Howard
really
Jones
hooky.
was really good at those too.
Thompson Twins, they did a lot of good hooky songs.
And well, we haven't talked yet about My Sharona.
Oh no, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, that is one of the things. It's like it can be kind of irritating.
It reminds me of the very first video games when you get Pong. Bing, bong, bing, bong.
Yeah. But when it comes on,
the chorus was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The dun 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 dun. I mean, and then the my Sharona. So vocally and instrumentally, it was
And I can't let it go without saying that the outro guitar solo is one of the best guitar solos ever recorded.
Certainly one of the longest.
Well, as you know, as we've said, it's like that was one of those that was edited for radio.
Yeah.
And then when you got the album, it's like, damn, this song goes on forever.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I remember I loved the chorus and everything, so I put it on YouTube at the gym. I was running laps and thinking, how long is this guitar? How many laps have I run just during this guitar solo? I don't remember it being so incredibly long. But it's a fantastic song. Could use a little edit, and they did edit it.
Yeah.
How about Joe Jackson Band? Is she really going out with him?
Oh,
that
yeah.
iconic bass line.
Mm-hmm.
And there, you talk about somebody who listened to music from the 40s and the 30s and stuff, Joe Jackson, and that's...
He's a jazz musician.
Yeah, and that's part of it. He knows how to put a melody together that is instantly memorable.
Yeah, Stepping Out.
Yeah.
Was like,
That album is like a new Steely Dan album. Night and Day.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of Steely Dan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's got some great songs on it.
Yeah, it does. But the first two were right smack dab in the middle of the new wave explosion. Angry dude with a skinny tie.
Yeah.
And he did those first two, I'm the Man and Look Sharp. They're great. There's not a bum anything.
Is she really going out with him?
Yeah, that was his first hit.
That's just a great. That's just a great line.
Yeah.
That's the lyric itself. Sometimes the great lyric will make the hook too, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah. Well, that second album has lots of hooks too, but for some reason, none of them worked as singles.
Right.
Yeah.
His songs were long. I don't know if they did radio edits, and I don't know if that was sometimes radio wanted long songs, and sometimes they didn't. But he had long outros like Stepping Out has a really, really long outro.
Yeah, well,
the first two records are much more succinct, I think.
Yeah, much punkier sound, and even though it's really advanced, smart stuff, it's still got that punky edge to it.
Yeah.
But by the time you get to Stepping Out with a Night and Day album, he was doing these long, stretched out things.
Sure.
But still,
I mean, it's beautiful, and it's not irritating when it's still nice. It's okay, but so it's not irritating, but it still could.
I think the last song on that album, Slow Song, is like 7 minutes long or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I can these days. Hardly any songs are barely over 3 minutes. A lot of them are just 2 something. And if a song gets to about 3.5, 4 minutes especially, I'm like, okay, this has got to end now. I mean, that's where I'm at now. It's like, okay, we need to move on. We got to do something else here. We can't, But
are you the kind of person that you can go, hey, listen to this song and play like 2 minutes, like 30 seconds of it, and then turn it off?
Absolutely.
We already talked about it. He has tapes where it's like, 5 seconds of each song?
I would do you get more songs in that way. It's like I would do my 100.
That's just
I could get
wrong.
100 favorite songs because
just
the
wrong.
hook. It was the hook. That's what my 100 songs were always the hook. So it's 100 hooks, not whole songs.
You're so weird.
It just seems insulting to the
my
artist.
friends do it too. So you just insulted all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're all kind of weird, but we love you anyway.
And my friends are weird, I guess. But, I want to mention Pet Shop Boys with the West End Girls because that was a sort of an inside out on the hook ethic, which a lot of times the hook is, the emotional climax of the song. But with the Pet Shop Boys, they did it just the reverse, and Neil Tennant comes out and he goes, West End Town with 10 miles, and he's like kind of up there, and it's sort of a surreal kind of synthetic song, But when he gets to the chorus, he just goes, West End girls, and East End boys, But so it drops and the momentum, but it works so well because it's set off from the rest of the song. But it was a sort of inside out from what the hooks normally do.
Yeah.
Well, one from that same rough era, about 82, one of my favorite bands, XTC, and their song Senses Working Overtime, the hook is the chorus, and the verses are these sort of really murky minor key. You can't quite find out what the melody is, but then once the hook comes in, it's just like this.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's just so insanely catchy, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People love to count.
Yeah.
And it's just
count and spell. We're still in first grade, I think.
Like the speak and spell. The cow says moo.
But that is a song where it just gives you a release because it's kind of making your neck tighten up a little bit as it goes on, and then you finally get to that chorus.
It's like the sun comes out.
Yeah.
But Andy Partridge just is a fantastic pop songwriter, and he can write a hook very few other people can.
I think that the 80s kind of died out and 90s kicked in around. You had D-Light Groove is in the Heart. That was just like pop music was kind of the end of disco. Groove is in the Heart was sort of a ending off the 80s. They still had a real 80s look to them. They were day glow and everything. But that was so funky. You know, that song was just so funky. And
the video is pretty iconic, too.
Yeah, you go, you've got to know that video. I mean, that is just like with the bouncing heads and her little dances and everything. It was great. But you could tell we're kind of moving on. And Depeche Mode had been around for a while, and they did this song, Enjoy the Silence, which is just, it's dark, but it's so romantic. And you didn't think that they would come up with something like that. That was also 90. Ace of Base, The Sign, I just mentioned that they had reinvented ABBA. They were also a quartet, 2 men, 2 women from Sweden. And The Sign was just so catchy, and it was so precise in such an ABBA way where every little note and every little anything is like really fussed over, you know, and they just like they came
nothing haphazard about it.
No, everything is intentional and everything is exactly how they want it. It's got that real precision to it.
Think about 90s when you brought up Grooves in the Heart. It makes me think of Jesus Jones and You're Unbelievable. And that whole Manchester sort of neo-psychedelic scene. Who else was in that scene? Stone Roses and... I'm
trying to think of
Anyway, that whole sort of... They get a big funky beat going, and then it's just all-night rave music.
Yeah. I think a lot, too, in the 90s, though, there was a lot of songs, bands kind of caught fire, too, and like Red Hot Chili Peppers in 91, Give It Away, Give It Away, Give It Away, Give It Away now, you know. Of course, that was also a dynamic video. You all didn't remember that one, I don't think, but they were in the desert. And then you just had, you had a lot of, modern rock. So we weren't really grunging here, but we had... Weezer's Buddy Holly,
right?
Yep.
1994. You know,
and the thing about Weezer is they have these hooks, but they're all these minor chords that just like, oh my gosh, this feels weird, but I like it.
Right? Yeah. It's a little unconventional there. And what I love, I have to mention when I talk about Buddy Holly, I have to mention how that song just starts in the middle because it's just. Just like the music and everything, there's no intro, there's no little anything. It's just what's with my homies, you know, with the
this is my girl.
Yeah, but also you had Blur with Girls and Boys. That was the same year as Buddy Holly, and that was kind of the Dayglow stuff. Blur was sort of straddling that and rock. They were kind of a counter voice to Oasis in Britain.
Yep.
I thought they were infinitely more interesting. Beck, Loser, that was 1993. That was way offbeat. Swagger.
When was Where It's At?
That was
to
after.
me, that's after, but I think that's...
It wasn't long after, though, was it?
No, I don't think so.
I think it was the next album.
Odelay
came out after.
Yeah. And then, 9 Inch Nails, Closer, that was very... like a darkly sensual,
I don't even think it's darkly sensual. I mean,
it is. I mean, it's. You don't think you want that to happen? He's talking about making that happen.
I guess it depends on what animal, maybe.
Yeah. What kind of animal? I guess that's it. But and Prodigy. I don't know if I mentioned them yesterday. They had Smack My Be Up. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember that one.
Yeah.
You used to like that song a lot.
I did, yeah. And the video. So this song, it sounds very hostile and very, it got banned, and I don't even know, it's hard to find the original version on YouTube now. But the video is, you're just following, it's from the perspective of kind of the hero or the lead character who's just like beating up women and throwing up everywhere and all that stuff. And you get to the end, and it's a woman. It's like this little woman, like this little blonde woman, I think, who's been doing all this, just throwing up on people and grabbing women and making out with them and everything. So that was a nice little trick, I thought.
Well, the exact opposite is Bop by Hanson.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great hook.
I don't know. I just didn't. I don't know.
I know. You just didn't like
guys. But I think it was all leading up to Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know. Explosive 1995, you got Women Rocker, and that was such a dramatic song, and that was a personal song for her, and you can feel every bit of it. And it starts off just edgy as hell when she's just kind of singing and her voice is kind of trembling, something's going wrong, and it just builds and it builds, and she's just like just scorching her way through the chorus. It was fantastic. And then I think that was 95, and so was PJ Harvey's Meet the Monster, which was just It ends with a yell. It's like it goes toe to toe with Alanis Morissette. They're like bookends to women's rage in the mid '90s.
And yeah, there's some rage there for sure.
There is. Yeah, you experienced some of it. We all did. Oh, who was it? A friend of ours said that You Ought to Know is the best rock song ever made. And it was a woman. Mm-hmm. And you were not going to argue with her about that. And I did think it was a great, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But it's kind of like, you know what? I think it probably was. And I'm certainly not going to contradict her on that.
It was a good song.
We've gotten through the 90s and we've not mentioned anything about the Bangles.
No, we haven't.
There's hooks galore.
Oh, yeah. Well, Walk Like an Egyptian. Jeez.
Or Manic Monday.
No, yeah. Of course, that's Prince's writing, but
yeah,
he was trying to seduce Susanna Hoffs.
Oh.
I don't know if it worked. Who knows?
But Prince did that with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, he would write songs. He would write songs for other people all the time.
Yeah. Well, we haven't yet talked about our Knoxville's great power pop band, Superdrag.
Okay.
Superdrag.
And Sucked Out was the one that went all over the place.
When they were signed to Elektra.
Yeah, they were signed to Elektra then. And that was one of those like classic stories of, okay, we need you to do one more song to be a hit. And, John Davis comes up with Sucked Out. And it is. I mean, it's a college rock hit. It didn't go like top 40, I don't think. But
then, as we said, this was back in the time when record labels would sign like 10 bands for one album and hope that one of them had a hit. And if that one had a hit, they'd let all the other ones go. And Superdrag had that one Sucked Out song that got into rotation on MTV, so they let them make another album. And the second album is fantastic.
Yep.
But the record label didn't like it. It didn't have a hit, and they got dropped. And then I think they went on to make some of their best music after they left the major labels.
Well, they were like an international little pop out when they came out. And it's important to note that, don't assume Knoxville's all country. We've got some of the biggest country stars are from here.
Yeah.
Dolly, Morgan Wallen, Kenny Chesney, Kelsey Ballerini. But we've got so many different styles. And what was it? You said that like we're not stereotyped in any way, so we have more mobility. Like
it's not a music industry town,
right?
So
if Atlanta's hip hop and Nashville's country, but Knoxville's just whatever you do.
Yeah, we're interested. We're at the crossroads of a couple of interstates. North, south, east, west interstates. But we've been at that crossroad before they were interstates. I mean, go back just for a second to the 20s when you had, the Bristol sessions where it was all country and gospel stuff.
They just set up in a hotel room.
Right, and they did the same thing here in Knoxville, but they got such a wider variety of music, so it's kind of always been that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very idiosyncratic.
Yeah, but
if you're a musician in Knoxville, you're doing it because you love it.
Right.
It's not like you're trying to aim for a demographic or get signed and go tour the world. You're just doing it because you love to make music.
Right. But we have like just a history of these great songwriters, people who knew hooks. And, in the same decade, we had Superdrag, which are really a legendary band. They're like getting together every once in a while and go play in big cities where they were really popular. And people used to ask me about them all the time when I was interviewing. I was like, isn't that the place where Superdrag's from? That's where you're from? Because they all knew it. But we had Superdrag, the Judy Bats, and the V-Roys all in the same decade. And it was all like, great songwriting.
And individualism. And you were right about the crossroads. I mean, if you're going from Canada to Florida, you're probably coming through Knoxville.
Right.
If you're driving from New York or D.C. to L.A., you're probably going to go through Knoxville. Yeah. I mean, we really are.
Yeah.
And we have that influence, and we're open to more and more outsiders have been moving here, and I think we're full.
Yes, we are. We are for sure.
Knoxville was named the #1 city to move to.
Really?
Yes. It was just a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't
Please
don't know
don't.
where we're
No
going to
more.
put them. But it's, so it is centrally located.
Yeah.
And we're just down the road from Atlanta. People associate us with Nashville all the time.
Yeah.
And I've always felt more connected to Atlanta, which feels more.
Everybody does here.
It's more of Atlanta is like the northernmost point or southernmost point of what's left of southern Appalachia.
Yeah.
And it's like that's where it ends. And it takes in North Georgia and it takes in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it just seems kind of like the capital of our region. Nashville just feels different. I mean, it always
It's kind of a fake plastic town.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, John a friend of mine, of ours, once who lived in Knoxville and Memphis and Nashville said, and this is true, in Knoxville and Memphis, people come out to hear music.
Yeah.
In Nashville, they only go out because they're afraid they're going to miss something.
Fear of missing out, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that just really sums up what it's like to see music in these different towns.
Yeah.
And
we're all three are very different from each other.
Very
There's no
different.
question, you know.
Kind of reminds me of that Kinks song. I don't remember what it is, but it's like I think it's probably the Money Go Round, where he talks about I hate your band, I hate your songs, but I'm going to sign you up because I hate to be wrong.
Yeah.
Want to touch into this more 90s. I wanted to say one of my favorite hook-focused artists is Sheryl Crow.
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
Her first hit was All I Want to Do, which, again, that's that Dolly Parton. Everybody can relate to this.
Yeah.
All I want to do is have some fun. I got a feeling I'm not the only one. She wasn't. You know, millions of people just wanted to have fun. But just every song after that, including we talked about
If It Makes You Happy.
Yeah.
Which is... Everyone's had that going on in their minds. You know,
Yeah.
if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. You know,
Well, I saw her at Bonnaroo several years back, and that was the first song she came out to play. And it's a low boil.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that
Yeah.
low kind of, and she's singing down in a low part of her voice, and it never gets out of that until she gets to the chorus. And that hook, I mean, it was on the main stage at Bonnaroo. There were 70,000 people, and everyone was singing that.
Yeah.
She just lights up. I love the verses, though, but they are just kind of subtle. You hear this strumming. I belong a long way from here. You know,
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And then just, if it makes you... They're singing.
It's an explosion.
And that's just what she's always done. You
Yeah.
know, and what was it you were saying? You had a different one that you...
Every Day is a Winding
Every
Road.
Day is a
I
Winding
love
Road.
that song.
Yeah.
And
Just
it's...
hook after hook after hook.
Yeah.
She knows how to do it.
My favorite mistake is also hooky.
Yeah, and it's like when she did Bob Dylan's song Mississippi, his version's okay. Her version's great.
Yeah.
And she emphasizes. It's got a hook that he doesn't really emphasize, and she does.
Yeah. She knows how to do it.
Well, and if we're talking about the 90s, I just got to throw in the Fountains of Wayne.
Yeah.
Because every song has just got more hooks than a tackle box.
Yep. And they're, again, I mean, that's a band that's heavily influenced by the 60s and, you know, classic British invasion bands and stuff like that. They're great.
In the movie, That Thing You Do,
Yeah.
they Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne wrote the hit song it's a story of a band from Pennsylvania that has a hit and goes out on tour and everything. And the song that they have is called That Thing You Do, and Adam Schlesinger wrote it. And it's such a catchy song. It's like that could be a Beatles song.
Adam Schlesinger was in some band I really like, and I can't remember what it was.
Huh.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. I'll remember it
I
someday.
don't know. I don't know what he did before.
If we're talking about the
Fountains
90s, too, I've got to get into Tupac. Tupac and Dr. Dre's California
Right.
Love, 1995. That's the 31-year-old song now.
Wow.
And that was like just a pivotal song for me as far as like, because you had the Public Enemy and all that in the 80s, and you had Funky Cold Medina and Tone Loc, and, and you had the
Remember
Beastie Boys, they were good with hooks and everything.
Yeah.
But that California Love, and California Love just hit a groove and a vibe. And I was going to California a lot when that was out anyway. And it's just like, California knows how to party. So anyway, I had to throw that out. And also, much to your chagrin, I'm going to mention that Mariah Carey, at least in the beginning, she was a hook magnet. And from the first Vision of Love, which I think was 91 maybe, but she had the song. That's when she recorded, 94, she recorded All I Want for Christmas Is You. This is one song. Now, we are avoiding songs that had hooks that everyone got sick of. And everyone got sick of that song.
Yeah.
But that was... it's the most energetic Christmas song I think I've ever heard. And if you just heard it once in a blue moon, I think you could appreciate just how much is going on in that song. And the da-da-da. It's got so much excitement in it and so much melody. It's almost like you're running down to the Christmas tree on, on Christmas morning.
And to be fair, that song is the reason why I went back to graduate school. Because I worked in a record store. I worked in a record store for years, and every Christmas we'd have to listen to that crap. And I was like, finally got to the last Christmas I worked, and I was like, life is too short. I'm going to seek some higher education.
And the next year she did Fantasy, which was just that just locked her in to be a major hit like through the 90s.
Right.
And that was the one where she used the Tom Tom Club riff, and it was played perfectly, very playful, very fun. There's some joy in Mariah Carey's music that I think people lose because they feel like she's too much of a machine, a singing machine for them to feel. And sometimes her songs are, and it depends on her producers, because sometimes her songs are.
Well, they have joy in them because they're sucking the joy out of the audience.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't. But there was a whole. Okay. Now, see, this is what happens when we go way back. We get up to now. When I get excited, we run out of time.
You were not running out of time. Just go.
So, yeah, I have to talk about the women of 2000. This was a pivotal time for so many women. You had, I do want to mention Nellie Houghton here. Nellie's a man and everything, but it was like a sensual blow-up time for all these people. And Madonna, I do want to mention, in 2005, she had Hung Up. That was her first hit in years, and then probably her last hit, one of her best hits ever. And part of the reason for that is she, like when you were talking about Run DMC and Aerosmith, she asked ABBA to use a riff from their songs. They never gave anyone permission to use riffs from their songs, and she asked for a riff from Gimme, 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 and they heard it, and I don't remember if it was Benny or Bjorn. It was one of the men of ABBA who write all the songs. They said, yeah, give it to her. And it was perfect, and it's like, it takes everything that's great about the ABBA song and everything's great about what Madonna was doing in the 2000s, and it was just a fantastic song. But you also had, you had so much. You had Khalees with Milkshake, again, sensuality, rap song, so you had her bringing the boys to the yard. Missy Elliott's Work It from 2002, where she put her thing down, flipped it, and reversed it, and you get the reverse tape out of it. And she was a pivotal rapper, early woman rapper when they weren't so big. Britney Spears was hitting stride. You were starting to think she got past her teenage years and she was going to be something. In Toxic of 2003, I think, was the pivot, the peak moment of that. And then you saw her decline and fade out. But that was Rihanna came out with Umbrella. That was her first hit, 2007. You had Hollaback Girl from 2005. I know you hated that one. Fergie's London Bridge from 2006. It was just like, this laid the groundwork for what we've been seeing for the last 20 years with all of these women starting the beginnings of their super careers. And now we're getting second generations and, third generations, like Taylor Swift to be a second generation to all that. And Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish, whatever would be third generation.
And this harkens back to our very first podcast when we were talking about, because I remember you saying, right now in the top 20, there's like 19 of them are women. Young women.
Yeah. And, when we did the best song or the biggest hits by decade, or the best-selling hits by decade.
Oh, yeah.
And in the first, like the 60s and the 70s, and I think the 60s, it was just Barbra Streisand was the only woman. In the 70s, you had ABBA and Fleetwood Mac, but no women. And in the 80s, you had Madonna show up. And then after that, it was pretty much 50-50 men and women from then on. And at times, it's even tilted where women are dominant. Other things from 2000s, I'm not going to dwell on them. As fun as they were, we had to go some direction. And anyway, I'm done.
I wanted to say one thing. I think the hookiest song, probably the past, we decided it came out in 2004. Hey Ya, Hey Ya by Outkast is
2003.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that song, it connects with just about everybody who listens to it, especially old white guys who thought that maybe we didn't like this kind of music.
Right. Old white guys that didn't listen to the lyrics. But it's a joyful song, but it's not a joyful song.
No, it's really...
That's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite thing is when you have this happy hook and you listen closer and it's like, oh, there's a lot more to this song than this happiness. It's not really. But, man, I just think... I mean, Outkast were great at that, but that song is just an absolute classic.
It is. Yeah.
And the hooks are just undeniable.
Yeah. Okay, well, next time we're going to start in the now and go back in time so we don't do this.
Well, see, if you just went random, we would have been,
Yeah.
You're very...
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to The Weeknd and One Republic and Daft Punk and Psy, Gangnam Style. We didn't talk about that, and the boy bands and all that, but we are out of time, and we're going to move on to recommendations.
All right. I can start off with David Foreman's album, Who You Been Talking To. It was recorded in 1977, about a year after his debut album, which was on Arista Records, and Rolling Stone gave it a great review, and nobody heard it. I mean...
So he's not someone other people are going to know. He's not like someone that I would know.
No, he is somebody...
And David Foreman?
David
F-O-R?
Foreman. So what?
David Foreman?
F-O-R-M-A-N, David Foreman.
And this was the 70s?
This is the 70s. This was 1977. this album was recorded. Well, I bought his first album at a Woolworths for $1. And one of the things I used to do is these kind of obscure things. I'd go on the internet when we got the internet and look them up and see if they were still out there. And I sent him an email and said, "Are you the same David Foreman that recorded this album in 1976?" And he said, "I can't believe you have that album." And well, it turns out there were a lot of us out there that had picked this up and cut out and just thought, this is a great album. Mm-hmm. And he sent some of us, he sent it to me, a cassette version of his second album, but it was really muddy, like several generations. You really couldn't tell how good it was. Mm-hmm. They found the original tapes. Jack Nietzsche, who produced the second album, and he was like a Phil Spector guy. He was a big, famous musician, producer. Worked with Neil Young and all sorts of different people. And his son, after he died, his son found that tape not too long ago and sent it to David. And this record company has now put out that album, like, cleaned out. He's still around. Okay. He's living in Philadelphia, I think. Okay. And
has he made money off music this whole time? Has he done some other things?
After that first album, he started doing like these doo-wop sort of revival things. Okay. He did Little Isidore and the Inquisitors is what he was. When I contacted him, that's what he was doing. Okay. And he had also helped the fella who, if you watch the movie Man on a Wire, the guy who walked a tightrope between the Twin Towers.
Oh, wow.
He helped him get up into the Twin Towers and string the rope. Yeah, he's in the documentary. Cool. When I was watching, it's like, that's David Foreman. And around that time is when we were emailing each other and he was sending me stuff. He introduced me to an album that he worked on called Largo, which I've recommended on here. And it's just great. It has the band and Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, cool. Is it just rock, or, I mean, how would you define?
Well, this new album and the first album he did, it's sort of a blue-eyed soul sort of a thing. Okay. He sounds a little bit like Smokey Robinson.
Oh, okay.
And he's got these kind of classic R&B arrangements, and he's got an amazing voice.
Yeah, you seem to think I would like it. And
I think
I know why now that you just described it.
Yeah, and
I do like soul. Yeah,
and he writes really good, tight, concise songs, but they're really good and really atmospheric. So anyway,
and he is on streaming.
It's on streaming, I'm sure, at this point. You can find the first album on YouTube. I've listened to it on there before, and you can order it. If you want to buy the CD, you have to order it from Japan.
Not without listening first.
Yeah, but this new album should be available everywhere. It's Who You've Been Talking To. And it's David Foreman.
Okay. John.
Well, so as you listeners may have noticed, we've referenced this, this is the second time we've recorded this podcast because yesterday we had an electrical glitch that erased our whole podcast, our whole conversation. Things have changed since yesterday and today for my recommendation.
Oh, wow.
I was out late last night at Wayne Stock and got home, and my brain was so I just sat down and got on YouTube and just found this wacky band from Quebec live on KEXP. And you really need to see them live because it's a two-person band. I think it's a man and a woman. They're called Angine de Poitrine. I don't know what that means. I looked that phrase up, and it seems to be some kind of a medical condition.
Okay. Oh, like an angina or something like
Maybe.
that? Maybe. Okay. All right.
But and it does mention that it's like cardiovascular or something. Okay. So it's probably angina.
Yeah.
But so I think it's a man and a woman. You can't tell because they've made themselves these paper mache outfits that are just outrageous. I mean, just crazy, funny looking outfits. Guy is a drummer. Plays a real minimal kit, and the woman plays guitar, but it's a double-neck guitar. It's a 6-string and a bass guitar, and she's doing looping, and it's the most precise. It's hard rock, really danceable. I can't describe it, but just Angine de Poitrine, and that's Angine, like engine, but with an A, D, just D-E. And Poitrine is Poitrine, and it's mind-blowing.
Wow.
Definitely go check it out. It's all mostly instrumental. They do some vocalizations from inside their papier-mâché heads, and they must have a microphone in there, but it's heavily modified. They're not even making sense words.
Right.
And they also, they are some kind of faux spiritual thing because they come out and they make their hands into a triangle and hold it out, and the fans live. I've seen some live, and all the fans are doing this. And
they're from Quebec.
From Quebec.
Okay.
And just unlike anything I've ever seen before. Really, just it's great. They have a recorded album called Volume 1, and it's the songs that they're playing, but you really need to see them.
Okay.
Right. See them like video, like YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, there's a live at KEXP.
Okay.
And then there's some live with where people are in attendance in the audience too. There's several things, but it's really worth checking out.
Well, I've also gone through my share of stuff since yesterday,
Yeah.
Basically running up and down the roads looking for my phones. But I'm going to stick with my recommendation from yesterday, which is a couple, an English duo, also a man and woman, Katie White and Jules DiMartino. I don't know if they're married, but they're definitely a couple. They have a child, and they're out of Manchester, and they're an indie pop rock album group. And they kind of a little bit punky and a little bit poppy and all that stuff. And the thing about them is they are so focused. So they're just like a group I wanted to emphasize on this thing. And their debut album, 2008, was called We Started Nothing. And it's very independent, like I say, very hook focused. And you can listen to their first two songs and know if you're going to like them or not. The first two songs are Great DJ, which is, it's talking about the need to unwind and how life sucks, and you go to just some local bar and there's some local DJ, but that DJ just has a transcendental moment with his audience, and it's just like very hooky song with ahs and e's and all that stuff, and the drums and the drums and the drums. And then the second song on the album is called That's Not My Name, and that's where she's talking about being an anonymous woman who people don't know her name and they don't bother to know her name. And she goes, they call me Hell, they call me Stacy, they call me Her, they call me what? Jane. That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. Again, great hook. They have other great songs too, but I would just start with this album, their first album, the first two songs, and you'll know if you like them again. From 2008, We Started Nothing, and the group is the Ting Tings. I don't know if I even mentioned
You didn't
that.
say the Ting Tings. That's what I thought. I was thinking, wait a minute.
That's their main hook. Anyway, check them out. Wayne, can you talk for a movie?
I'm going to try. I'm sneezing, coughing, and
your
voice is gone.
Yeah.
Nebraska, 2013. I was reluctant to see it for a long time because it's about old people, and I thought it was going to be depressing. It's Bruce Dern plays a man, an old fella. He's old. That gets sort of a publisher's clearinghouse sort of a thing that says that you've won $1 million if one of your numbers on here is the winning number.
Right.
And he's convinced.
Kind of scam thing. It makes people think they won.
Right. And he's convinced that he's won $1 million.
Okay.
And he wants to go, and he's starting to walk there. And finally his son, who's played by Will Forte, one of his sons, decides to drive him. His other son's played by Bob Odenkirk, who was great in it. Yeah. Will Forte's great in it. Yeah. And the person who really kind of steals it is the person who plays Bruce Dern's wife, June Squibb. And she has the funniest parts in it. And it's a real tale of, it's shot in black and white, and it's a good story. And you start out thinking, am I going to really want to spend this much time with these people? It's a couple hours. Mm-hmm. And by the end of it, you love it. It's great. And it has a lot to say about family and loyalty and just taking care of each other. Great movie.
June Squibb was great in Thelma. It came out last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wondered what else she'd been in.
Yeah.
And I should say this is an Alexander Payne directed movie. And his movies, he did Election, Citizen Ruth, The Descendants, The Holdovers.
Great movies, yeah.
And he is a director that anything he does, I'll go see. And this is well worth it.
All right.
My wife and I have discovered a new show that we're addicted to. It's on Apple TV, and it's called Tehran. It is it's a spy thriller, really, really taut. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys watched 24 when it came out, but
oh yeah,
I mean it was that. It's just like it's not set in the same time frame, because in 24 the entire season was one day, but in this it's not that time constraint, but it's similar in the sense that it's just like one tense emergency thing after another, and it's basically a Mossad agent has infiltrated Tehran in order to cripple the electrical grid so that Israel can bomb their nuclear whatever.
No.
That's just the baseline of it.
Right.
It's mostly in either Arabic or, I guess, Hebrew. So you got to have subtitles on. There's a little bit of English, but it's just really well done and this very compelling story. And I don't know. I just read a book, the Lion Women of Tehran, and it was about these two childhood friends that grow up in Iran before the Islamic Revolution, and it reiterated to me how rich Iranian culture is and how much history there's. They
used to be like a Paris,
Yeah,
they were amazing.
And Persia.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And their art, their culture, their literature, they led the world for years, for centuries. And then the Islamic Revolution came along and just took them back to the Stone Ages. Yeah. And that's where it's set in the present day, but not in the present day.
Right.
I mean, it's not this latest round. There's 4 seasons, and it started in 2020.
And it's on Apple TV?
It's on Apple TV, and it's called Tehran. And it's really good. All
right, I've got Send Help, which was directed by Sam Raimi. It's a 2026 movie. I saw it in the theaters. I think I forget where they said. There's a projection of where things might be streamed. I don't know.
No.
If it's not in theaters anymore, then Google it. But it was a great movie. It's directed by Sam Raimi, who, of course, did the Evil Dead movies, and he did Drag Me to Hell and a couple of the comic book movies, Spider-Man movies. But this one has a lot of similarities to Drag Me to Hell.
Oh.
And it stars Rachel McAdams, who was the meanest of the Mean Girls in the Mean Girl movies. And she was also in The Notebook. And Dylan O'Brien, who was in The Maze Runner. And, I don't know. But he's like... So these two people, the movie starts... I get the premise out of the way. The Dylan O'Brien, who's about 10, 12, 15 years younger than her, he has taken over his father's company, and his father's died. And I don't know what the company does exactly, some kind of marketing or something. And she's like an ace employee who works there, and she's really efficient and good, but she's kind of off-putting, and she's one of those kind of gawkish people in the office who nobody really wants them to come around, and they come around like they're part of everything. And she was expecting a big promotion, and McBride, that his father was going to give her, and he does everything he can to not just strangle her whenever she walks around or shows up or anything. So it's like this is the disparity between the two. And she catches on. She's not stupid, and so she starts getting angry, and they end up on a desert island. They're in a plane crash, and I guess they're the two only survivors, and they're on a desert island together, and he's injured. And he's been really cruel and abusive to her. And one of the things he made fun of her for is she's a huge fan of Survivor. And she was making videos. She was trying to get on Survivor, and she knew how to do everything. She knew how to start fires. She knew how to hunt a wild boar, and she knew how to. And all of a sudden, she's in charge of him. And they're both mean, and they work together, and then they work against each other, and together and against each other. And it's got that Sam Raimi, how there's just like the wild boar, just like crazy supernatural monsters that come at them and everything.
Sounds good.
And she's got a very dark side. You actually feel sorry for him a little bit, even though he's relentlessly cold and nasty. And it just plays out it's the whole movie, or 90% of the movie is just the two of them kind of dealing with nature and dealing with each other and trying to figure out, how to live and how to get off the island or whatever they got to do. And it was a lot of fun. And I would recommend it. It's called Send Help.
Would you say it was a horror movie?
I would say it's a thriller, survival horror movie, and dark comedy. I wouldn't say it's a horror movie the wild boar are real things, but they're kind of animatronic.
Right.
They're extremely vicious. And she has this one fight scene with one of them that reminds me of Drag Me to Hell, where just over-the-top stuff is happening. So it was fun.
Well, that's the hallmark of his movies, is like the sense of humor. And when they redo one of his movies, they don't have that sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it was like that. It's like, on the plane, they were on a private plane, and there were several people on this plane. And, and she was like working away, and the guys were all sitting drinking everything. And he popped up the video, one of her survival, and they were all laughing at her. And then she started figuring out what they were doing. And then all of a sudden the plane's going down, and everybody's like, just like over the top scene, and everyone's grabbing at this and that, and the doors flying open, and bodies are getting sucked out. And so and that's not giving too much away. This is all in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, I'm going to have to see that one.
Yeah, it's good. Send Help. And that's it.
There you go.
So if you got any suggestions or feedback or questions or whatever for us, email us at howweheardit@gmail.com. We're all over social media, from YouTube to Facebook to Instagram to TikTok to X. You can find us there on How We Heard It, and we will come back next time. Thank you.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, movies, art, culture, whatever it is that's on their mind. How We Heard It was recorded at the Arbor Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee by me, John Baker. How We Heard It is a Cozy Planet production. If listening to this podcast has given you a burning sensation, then we recommend you sit in a hot tub until your symptoms fade away. If you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne or even me, you can send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. So thank you for listening, and come on back and we'll have another episode for you next week.